Let me at least look halfway decent.
Yeah, you're gonna need a lot more than a hat, my friend.
Right?
Okay, the date is March 13th, 2020. We're going to talk about the impacts of the economy from the coronavirus. Well, it's the only thing anybody's talking about online, and I thought it'd be fun to dish. So my name is Felice. My brother, Jared, is well, here, introduce yourself. What do you do?
I am a financial analyst at a manufacturing company. I have a background in economics, and I'm a CFA Charter holder. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. Jason probably didn't hear any of that.
So, Jason Ramus, what's up?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Jason Ramus, I day trade the stock market, S&P futures, everything. And then I also do real estate investing, hard money, private money, lending, rehabs, flips, and investment properties.
Okay. So I thought it'd be fun to do this. Actually, I've been trying to do this for a while, but I thought it'd be fun because, well, the stock market had its worst. Is it its worst week since 1987? Is that correct? Or second worst ever?
Yep.
Next 1987.
Worst week since 87.
Yeah, it's making records for sure.
So, all right, do you think this is before we recorded, do you think this is gonna timeline? That's what I think is most uncertain right now. Some people are saying, it's not that big a deal. It's gonna blow over. My position is kind of in the middle, where I think the lingering effects are gonna be the problem. Where do you stand, Jason?
So, not to be the bear of the group, too bearish, but I think and Alex knows me, so think about this and come back and watch this in 45 days, end of April. I believe we're in day 3 of 45. And what I mean by that is I think we're just at the beginning of a lot of pain. Like I said, I'm here in Las Vegas, and literally half the town's shut down. Buffets are shut down, nightclubs are shut down, concerts, professional sports, which means all the sport books are shut down. Everybody has essentially lost their job overnight. I'm not trying to exaggerate. These are the facts, right? When there's nothing to bet on, right? They suspend. So everybody at the sport book, at every hotel and casino, what's there for them to do? Same with buffets and all that. I think I think there's a fear factor. Everybody keeps talking about the virus itself. I don't care about the virus per se. I care more about of the potential pandemic. And I truly believe the government's creating everybody to self-quarantine, telling companies make your employees work from home, right? And make people not want to leave their house to be able to contain it and do what they're doing in Italy. And instead of kind of forcing everybody by closing everything down like they are, think about people are afraid to fly, right? To see a movie, people or they're banning big groups of people everywhere. In New York, California, it's just going to keep growing. Here in Vegas, we went from 4 people a couple of days ago to 8 people yesterday. Tomorrow, probably 32, right? It's the bunny syndrome, like the rabbit syndrome. They just keep growing quicker and quicker, doubling. And so I just think we're day 3 of 45. I think the panic sets in and people see the effects as it goes on, kind of like it was until the market dropped. And then people started getting foreclosed on, can pay their loans, they were losing jobs, and it feeds upon itself. Well, and so the scary part is what happens over the next month and a half. I went to Walmart, Costco, Sam's Club this evening to just look, can't find water, can't find toilet paper, paper towels, anything. And I know it's crazy, but then you start looking at the food and there's no food. Anywhere, all the meat, anything that's non-perishable is gone because people are hoarding. Well, we're the first, and I'll be the first one. And all my friends think I'm crazy because I'm telling them, hey, go get like 3 or 4 weeks worth of food today while it's here, because I actually think the crisis becomes a shortage of food. And I think that's what scares, because as people panic, think about toilet paper right now. That was the first thing, and now you can't go out and buy toilet paper.
I was
I
talking
know
about
it's
this at
funny,
work,
but
and there was a woman I work with who was actually excited that she got a toilet paper delivery from Amazon. She was like excited about it.
but what happens when everybody who's quarantined to their house, like we're all at home right now, right? What happens when you stay home all day? Let me walk to the kitchen. Let me grab some food, right? You eat because you got nothing else to do. And I'm scared to go to restaurants, right? I'm scared to go to Starbucks or wherever because I don't know who's infected. And that's what it's becoming. As more and more people get infected, you understand there's more and more odds of you getting infected. So I don't believe it's the virus itself is the big deal. Everybody throws numbers. Oh, it's only a 3% death rate. The flu kills more people. That's not what it is. It's about controlling a pandemic and not spreading it, but that creates the fear in itself.
Well, the flu has about, I think, a 0.2% kill rate. This is like 100 times worse. But yeah, I agree almost 100% with everything you said. I don't think that the virus has any bearing on reality relative to what we're doing. But the economic fallout is huge. And I don't think that, when you go back to 08, we didn't even realize how bad it was. The downturn really came mid 07. The peak was 06. And then, coming into 08, but it was the end of 08 when things started to happen, and the market bottom didn't happen until mid 09. It took a long time for us to realize, and then it took us years to figure out what happened. So, I think that the market's been inflated for so long, and we've accumulated so much debt in so many areas for such a long time. It needed any
catalyst.
Yeah, it almost feels like a catalyst. And when people aren't working, right now it feels isolated because, so for instance, my wife's out of work, right? So she's a school teacher. She's going to continue to collect a paycheck. Governor of Virginia just suspended school across the state for 2 weeks. But we're only seeing the very beginning of this. I just read somewhere that they've only tested like 500 or 1,000 people in the United States. They've tested 50 or 60,000 people in China. So really, people are probably infected. We don't even know about it because there's a delay in diagnosis. So I think we're overreacting to the amount of information we have. And when we start to actually get quality information, it's going to look so much worse because numbers aren't going to be good. And then the 2 week or 3 week, closure and ceasing all these business activities is going to appear as though we jumped the gun, and we're going to have to, I think this is going to be a long road. And then you start missing interest payments, you start missing debt payments. And how much debt do we have out there? Where is it? We don't even really know yet. We know that there's there's a student loan bubble on the rise. We know that
student loans won't matter. That's a farce.
But you never know where it's going to. We said the same thing about real estate.
No, I agree. I agree with the sentiment. I disagree with the example.
Well, regardless, look, you take your pick in late 80s, early 90s with savings and loans.
Completely different.
Go back in
I'm just saying
they're all completely different.
I'm just saying that specific example, student loans, I don't agree with that specific example. But I agree with the sentiment. So let me ask you this though, because this is the way I've been describing it. So I agree with both of the sentiments, and I think of it like a lake. So you got a circular lake, let's say, right? And what happened yesterday was you basically dropped a large boulder into the center of it, where in the market, where the liquidity is the highest. And so I'm sitting on the shoreline, all the way inland, all the way on the shore, with real estate and debt, highly illiquid. And I think the ripple is going to take a long time. The pain is forthcoming. And so people,
well, let me ask you this.
The fucking jokes on Instagram, the jokes on Facebook, toilet paper and that bullshit, that's going to stop when people start,
yes.
I missed my fucking mortgage payment. Nah, it's not fucking funny anymore. Somebody better do something.
So let me ask you this. You own a number of properties. What's the recourse when people start missing payments? And how quickly do you notice when it happens?
Well, I notice on the first they miss. But
well, here, hold on. I'll give you a real life example. Okay. And first, Alex will hate me for this, but I agree with Jared with the student loan debt. And I'll tell you why. I used to work for a company called SoFi. Okay.
Yep.
Hold on. I worked for a company called SoFi. They refinance student loan debt. Okay. They go from Nelnet and all those from the government companies, and they refinance them to private lenders, right? Yep. And the minute you do that, they no longer will qualify for whatever incentives that the government does. So Bernie and all those people talk about, oh, we're going to forgive 45 million people. Well, the real number isn't 45 million because you probably have over the last 5-10 years, or 5 years, we'll say 10, 15 million of those people who've refinanced from their government debt to their regular debt, to personal debt. But here, hold on.
Why are we getting the weeds of student loans? Why are we getting the weeds of student loans?
No. Hold on. I have a lender that called me, or a borrower that called me today. She owes me $3,200 a month. She goes, I'm out of a job. I work on the strip. What could we do? Can you freeze one of my payments until things pick up? And essentially, I don't want to foreclose on her. I don't want to have her kind of go down the bad road with her. So I told her, hey, look, I'll rewrite the loan for you, right? Because for me, it actually makes sense too. But I have a couple other loans where I'm waiting for them to call me. Okay. Now, thank God in my position, I don't owe somebody else money for places I live or anything like that, where I need that income. And that's where it just starts to snowball.
That's the ball
like, imagine if I took all that money, and I have somebody that I need to pay $3,000 a month. Well, that's $3,000. Well, my cash flows can go really quick when I'm not receiving that. And that's where people get in trouble.
Yeah,
and I think the whole thing depends.
People who are on tight deals with low cash flow, I mean, that don't have reserves, the people that are new in the business, the people that have, are over leveraged. I mean, it's not to compare to 08, but the end user effects are going to be similar. Now, not to say that, you're not going to have the derivative problem, but you are going to have the amount of people that live in America that are like, hey, I missed the paycheck this month. And then that equals bills is incredibly high. And so it's just going to trickle up the chain. Like a lot of landlords can make the payments anyway. 1, 2, 3 months. A lot of them can't. A lot of them, it's like, I'm barely making ends meet. So it's going to, they're all saying 2 weeks, but I think you guys are both right where it's like, hey, in 2 weeks, if the numbers come out and they're worse, it's going to be a month. Well, now it's going to be 6 weeks, whatever the case.
If this is a
right?
2 week or 3 week thing, the whole thing is nonsense. It's going to be over before we, if that's true, we're completely golden. I mean, there's no issues whatsoever.
Agreed.
But you're right. I mean, the cash poor and the majority of small to medium enterprises are normal businesses that are fairly cash poor. They don't have a moat of liquidity that they can just rely on for an extended period of time. So the real question isn't about student loans. It's about what's that fringe debt bubble that we're not seeing, where you have the majority of the population is at the highest risk, where some people are depending, or organizations are depending on the payments. I mean, this is a ripple effect. So the interesting thing is the fact that everybody's closing down so quickly, and they're doing it, I think, in anticipation that this will be a 2 or 3 week thing. Like, we'll just cease operations and then we're good.
It's not going to work that way.
Well, hang on. So. Let me push back on that. Well, just for the sake of it, to provide a counter argument, right? So the argument at least is, hey, look, if you take extra precautionary measures now, right, you can withhold the disease from spreading further than it would in theory, and you don't overload the hospitals. And 2 weeks is better than, hey, look, if we don't do anything, then this might be really, what if it's like, hey, it starts really affecting a lot of people, and now you bog down the medical system. It's so bad. So I think the idea is we go overboard a little bit in the beginning, and then you make sure you don't spread the disease. You get test kits out. You get people checked up and and you start quarantining the people that really need it. And so the idea is you take over precautionary measures because you don't want the majority of the minority, that kind of thing, where it's like, one guy got everybody sick because we weren't taking it seriously. So I think that's the idea. That's the argument, at least, which in theory, I support that. I'd rather take 2 weeks than, hey, let's just wing it. Right. But I agree with you. The amount I've never seen the government do this. I've never seen the country shut down like they
have.
Well, over this.
I don't think this will be
SARS, not H1N1.
Yeah, I do disagree on one point, which is I don't think this will be like what they're doing in Italy. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but it's impressive. They declared martial law. I heard in one case they started to weld the doors closed of houses. I mean, they are going around the streets with megaphones telling people to stay inside. It's like 1350 bubonic plague stuff. I mean, it's incredible. I don't think that will ever happen.
But the problem with that is that you have Americans who feel like they're entitled, right? We're not willing to do what's the right thing, right? Because we're the best. We expect this. Especially the millennial generation, right? They want everything given to them, right? And so
I'm a millennial.
To stop something.
Hey, GM is the one that got bailed out last time, just so we know.
Yeah. but that's what you need to do. You need to sacrifice. What they're trying to do is they're trying to force people without doing martial law here in the U.S. by closing everything down to go live in your house.
Okay, but Jason, you have a totally different system, right? It's a totally different government system from Italy. You can't just say, well, they wouldn't do that here. Like, you're right. And it's not a millennial thing, right? Well, maybe I'm a millennial, maybe I'm not. But I'll tell you what, you start telling Americans they can't leave their house.
I'm going to do it just to spite.
Fuck you, right? Yeah. I'm going outside right now.
Hey, look at the guy who tested positive a couple of days ago. Okay, he tested positive. They told him go self-quarantine. Guess what the guy did? 2 days afterwards, jumped on JetBlue airplane, flew from New York to Miami or wherever, right? Florida.
Okay, but how cheap did he get that How cheap did he get that?
That's the real question.
Yeah, right.
Those tickets are dirt cheap.
Yeah,
that was like $70, bro.
Hey, the baggage fee was more than the ticket, right?
Okay, so that brings me to a good point. So now I get on Facebook a lot. Now I use it for entertainment value, but it's interesting to see the public, well, at least my limited exposure to it, the public's reception to all this new news. And I follow a lot of new investor groups, and it's on the internet. Obviously, it's hard to tell who has what kind of experience, what kind of knowledge, how old they are, right? It's like you just don't know, right? And so the questions you hear sometimes, you're like, I just can't tell how stupid this person is, or if maybe it's out of context or whatnot. So there's been a lot of talk, especially 2 days ago, the day that the Dow dropped. There's a lot of talks of stopping and picking up airline stocks. Oh, like people on Facebook going bananas. Oh my God, what a good buying opportunity. And I think to myself, well, in my opinion, the stock was overheated, overpriced anyway. So maybe some correction is not that abnormal. Maybe it's just, hey, look, anything was going to pull this back. And the second thing is, I wonder, like the fool is the one who buys at the top, like FOMO. Well, isn't it the same? Hey, look, the Dow drops 2,100 points. Let me go buy airline stocks. Like, how low could they possibly go? As if they've never seen a business go away before. And so I'm curious, do you think that this week was the buying opportunity, or do you think we're just getting started? Or certainly there's my opinion is like, there's no reason to jump in so fast.
I think both,
especially if it's a new endeavor.
I think it's a buying opportunity, and I think that it's not over yet. There's nothing wrong with buying a company that went down 20%, even though it might go down another 10.
Okay.
If you're going to look at this from a 5 or 10 year perspective, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're getting a solid company that, even if it was maybe over, I mean, I don't know much about Delta or American Airlines. They might be great companies. I'm looking at their free cash flow is negative. They make good income. I mean,
Carnival, check out Carnival stock. I think it went down 60% or something obnoxious.
American Airlines has like $5 million in cash. I mean,
but here's the problem with what's going on. Is it the right time to buy? Look, I tracked the S&P futures. The all-time highs were almost 3,400. We closed today 27. Okay, is this a buying opportunity? Yeah, maybe you could go find some stocks that you like that you could have bought 6 months ago at these levels, right? But if you really look at what's going on, okay, companies are going to burn through a ton of cash in the next month and a half. Remember, this is day 3 of at least 45. So nothing's starting. NFL's not going to generate a single dollar until at least April. Hockey, all those companies, sport books, right? Nobody's in 2 weeks. There's a 2-week quarantine alone that you don't know if you have it. So if I got it today, I need to wait 2 weeks. They don't even have the test kits out. This is why it's going to be way more than 2 weeks, okay? And as it keeps growing, do people start to go, oh, wow, this is scary, and really hunker down? Kind of like, okay, this storm's a lot worse than we thought it was, right? Maybe we should leave, okay? Or hunker down, like go in the basement instead of hang out and watch TV during the storm. It feeds on itself. The airlines, I'm afraid with the airlines, and think about the airlines right now. They're making zero revenue right now with no trips to Europe. They're not flying. So they're only doing domestic. And Vegas, nobody's flying here to Vegas, right? Because everybody's scared to fly. So that kills Vegas. But then the airlines get killed. But remember, they still have to pay their employees and keep operating and expenses. But guess what? Now their cash flow's going lower. And after a week, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, how bad does the burn rate? I actually get scared that there's going to be a flight attendant, right? The people that work on the plane. where they get the virus, and then all the union of the flight attendants go, dude, we're not flying anymore. And same thing with Walmart. Wait, some guy in some little town in North Carolina, Lafayette or whatever, right? Works at Walmart, named Alex, and we'll just say Alex F, okay? And he gets the coronavirus from working. What employees gonna want to go work and take care of everything and go work every day, right? It just feeds upon itself. It's like the housing. Once one goes, they all start to go. And ask Spencer next time you talk to him and Jay. I told them, and they probably thought I was crazy. I go, the day one sport company or like one major league sporting event cancels their season because somebody gets sick, they're all going to follow suit. And that's exactly what happened this week. And it just, because guess what? You have to close your business. Like WWE's doing WrestleMania. Okay, you don't think if they stick with it this week, they better hope not a single person gets corona, because if they do, the backlash of every other person did, why didn't you do it, is going to destroy their brand. And this is the problem right now. And this is why I'm with Jared. It just feeds upon itself. And guess what? Once the numbers peak and we start going down on the numbers, guess what's going to happen? Everybody's not going to rush back out to Vegas, right? Because we're learning we no longer need to go send people to conventions. We no longer need these big buildings. Make everybody work from home. And guess what? Our bottom line, we save a shitload of money on our bottom line, right? Because they're not paying rent.
So
yeah, and
okay.
I was just looking before we got on the line here at the list of things that were canceled or closed, and it's just staggering. So I mean, clearly the entertainment industry and a lot of other things are hit. I think E3 and the automotive over in Europe, the automotive convention that they have every year. I mean, there's a lot of things being canceled. But to look at the positive side, though, there's a bunch of things that are. I would say two things. The entertainment industry being the first line of defense is clearly collapsing. I mean, precipitously. But we have a lot of different things like contractual work in this country, manufacturing, that is going to continue. I mean, people are still going to make things. There's contractual obligations to provide medical supplies, to provide cars. So that's not going to stop tomorrow. And the other thing is that we are geared up for this better than at any time in history. So the company that is probably going to make a killing on this, while Walmart shelves are getting cleared out, you're going to see Amazon spike. I mean, they are going to sell things, and there's nothing.
I own a ton of Amazon, just so you know.
And
just
a lot of Amazon
processes
processes in their warehouses are automated, so it's not like they have to shut down. And their delivery services, it's one guy in a truck, so you can't stop a highway. So at some point, people will not go without as far as the things that they need, and there will continue to be some sort of revenue being generated by a certain subset of the population. I don't think this is going to be like it was in 2008, but I do not think that this is a short-term thing.
I want to bring up two things. One, you had said something in there in that long ramble, that long Alex style ramble of yours about the trickle effect, and like you said, in 2 weeks the thing's going to be over and people aren't going to be rushing back to work, and that's correct, right? So now I'm going to take this from a real estate perspective, right? So in 2007, the stock market hits, right? It wasn't until 2009 really that the foreclosures started rolling in, right? Because it was so many. It's like, oh God, how do you do this? It wasn't until 2012 that the foreclosures stopped. Okay, that's 4 years.
Yeah,
it wasn't until 2014, 2 more years after we hit rock bottom of real estate, that people started buying again. That's when I started buying, 2014. It wasn't until 2016 that people started to notice that you could make money in real estate and get into it, really. And then the liquidity opened up in 2017, 18. So I look at this now, and like I said, the example I gave in the beginning, it's like you drop a rock into the middle of the lake. It's like, how big? We don't know how big that rock is yet.
Well, but I would say that's a little. It's a little bit misleading.
No. I'm just using it as an example about how long lead times are.
Oh, it takes a long time, no question.
Right.
But what I will say
and then the second thing I want to ask you, because we talked about the airlines.
Go ahead.
Are the airlines going to need a bailout from the U.S. government? Is that going to happen? I know it's too early to tell, so I'm like, let's speculate.
No, I don't think this is going to be anything that bad. I just don't.
So it depends how long it lasts, too, right?
That's the question. I think that's the whole ball game. Yeah.
Yeah.
How big was? Yeah.
That's what, real quick, I'm sorry. This is what it's all about. Is this a 1.5 month, a 45-day event, or is it a 60, then a 90, then a 120-day event, because they can't contain it, because you got people that are sick who are still flying on airplanes and spreading the thing, right? That's why I actually agree with what Italy's doing. If you want to stop something in its tracks, you have to take a hard measure. Okay, you can't just do lollygag and expect people to go self-quarantine and stay home and do it. You remember, we got 350 million people. Okay, you tell them be nice to cops, and they can't be nice to a cop. They go shoot them, right? I mean, there are too many people who feel too entitled.
Well, we could
that's probably the worst analogy.
We could just kill the sick
That's not a
people.
good analogy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, look, you have a difference than you do in Italy. And I don't necessarily disagree with you. Like I said before, it's like, hey, look, it's better to be overprotective and take away. But look, this country has, first, from its core, a history of rebellion, which I don't think, it's built into our culture. Like people, sometimes they don't realize it because they don't read that much history, but it's built into, like, our whole economic system is based on disruption, right? It's like, yeah, he who fucks the system up most wins. In some ways. And so the whole thing is based on rebellion. So you just can't go around telling people they can't leave their house. It's just not going to work in this country. The second thing is, shit, I forgot what it was.
Well,
while you're thinking, let me say this, you were talking about the real estate market and how long it took to come back. And that's true. I would say it's a little bit misleading because the actual, the overall economy came back pretty quickly from the 08. I mean, all things considered, if I look at just a chart here of the Dow, it reached a peak around October of 07. It reached its trough around mid 09, early 09. And then by early 2011, it was almost back to where it was. And if you account for dividends and other earnings, you were ahead of where you were at that very peak of the market. So the real estate market didn't come back, but other parts of the economy, did just fine.
Well, but I prefaced saying I was talking about real estate.
Go ahead.
I prefaced that because I was talking about real estate specifically because that's what Jason and I do.
Yes.
Yeah. But that has to do, that's a function of liquidity or illiquidity in that asset class, right?
But we're also talking, and Jared, you're talking a 5-year span or a 3-year span.
Oh, sure,
right?
yeah.
Now let's try and do put yourself in the moment, right? Let's go 3 years from today. There's going to be a lot of pain. There's going to be a lot of tough times. And Alex actually kind of said his own thing, right? Like if that's the way we are, and we're not going to take that hard stand, then guess what? It's going to take a lot longer to contain the virus instead of locking everything down. So Italy, it might only take them a month and a half of really hard pain, right? Don't let anybody outside, shut down everything. But when they come out of it, okay, dude, they did what needed and they're going to be okay. We're going to work a hard stand because you're going to have, okay, cool, now the numbers are going down, but then all of a sudden they go back up. Right, because there's somebody else, and so now that kind of like what Jared said, it stretches out as far as real estate. I mean, remember, it's easy to look on a chart. Oh yeah, look, it bounced back. Remember those times, right, of all the struggle and the heartache and all that. I think real estate, it's going to be real interesting because I think a lot of people who have loans, they're good loans. They're not. We're not going to have a real estate problem. And with the rates being so low, I think we're actually going to have, once it's all done, all this is kind of calmed down, I think we'll actually see the real estate markets take off because in the economy, but it's going to take a little while to get through
one of the
this.
things that happened in 08 was we learned a lot about how to deal with, a pooled credit system, which is basically what the entire economy is it's foundational. It's not really based on money or income. It's really based on credit, which is, the promise of a future payment. So the Federal Reserve changed the nature in which, and you see a lot better balance sheets when it comes to financial intermediaries. And I'm not just talking about banks, but you look at insurance companies, you look at a whole bunch of other, private equity firms, venture capital, huge source of debt financing for a whole bunch of companies. So they really are acting like banks. I know that we have a massive contract with an insurance company. And so, that's becoming more and more common, and the Federal Reserve and the overall economy we've really gotten a better understanding about how to deal with a pooled credit system. We're not acting so independently anymore. So I think we're a lot better geared up for it. I don't think that there's, like you said, the loans are not as bad and more sound than it was. So
let me push back on that.
For me, go ahead.
No, please finish. Sorry.
For me, it all depends on the timing. If this is a 1 month or a 2 week thing, I just don't think this is going to be a problem. If this is a 6 month thing, like I think it might be, it has the potential to be a 6 month drag it out, just then you start hitting debt payments. And once that happens, there's no telling what's going to happen, you know, what the result.
So in 2008, in 2008,
go for it.
we didn't really learn our lesson, right? We didn't take responsibility for our poor actions. We covered it up in the form of, well, some of it was quantitative easing, which worked, and some of it was, but you know, we made two big mistakes. One, we didn't pay that debt off from the last time. We basically transferred to the public sector, and we don't have the margins on interest rates, right? The Fed dropped half a point. I mean, they've been dropping points far earlier than coronavirus. So if this does drag on, then you have a, you know, it's easy to say, well, it won't be like 2007. It's like, yeah, but we also don't have
you run out of tools. Yeah.
I don't believe. So it's like, yeah, it's not as bad. Like, oh, but God, now we really better not have anything else go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And that's only if it only goes a little wrong. So like, we dropped the rate half. What's the federal funds reserve rate?
No,
Right now,
I'm not
Jared,
sure.
It's a 1 1/4, 1 to 1 1/4.
I mean,
this next
only
week
got
they
to
have
zero.
well, they're going to drop it. They're saying 75 basis points.
Well,
this week.
but you have to look at
meeting.
the you know, the ocean that it takes to cross before you get to from open market operations, which change interest rates, to becoming a lender of last resort. We're actually bailing people out. When, you know, the reason that we had to do that in the past is because we had there was an underlying institutions that just doesn't exist anymore. We really changed our lending practices. Don't ask Wells Fargo that, but overall we have. And you know, I just don't think I think it's wrong to look at merely the interest rate and the tools that the Federal Reserve has to see the structure and how strong it is. The reality is the pooled credit system really works on a system of individual institutions working cohesively. So if you have JP Morgan that has good loans, that's making good lending practices, and for the most part their lenders are able to pay them back such that they have a certain margin of safety, and they can support all their loans, then it doesn't really matter. All these other things that we're talking about, if they can support all of the businesses that they have and all the products that they sell, none of it matters. It's when we have this trickle-down effect, when one person can't pay the next, can't pay the next, and that type of systemic risk, I just don't see that in the market. But the thing that I fear is if this goes on far longer, and now we have an overall slowdown in the economy, and you end up with just a fundamental recession where we really can't see what that looks like right now. I don't know where that would come from. I offer student loans as you know, an option, but it could be
car loans
coming from anywhere. I don't know.
Car loans are bad.
Car loans. Yeah.
Car loans were the catalyst in 2006. People forget, but because I was in the car business, so I was very close to it. And I remember subprime car loans that was the first news headline, right? Subprime mortgages, AIG, right? And then it was like subprime, and then GM went out. But I guess that's kind of my take on it because I was so close to the car business. But yeah, it's funny. Like, you know what I didn't expect was I knew the pay was forthcoming, but everybody's on Facebook still telling jokes. What I didn't expect was I have real friends in real life that are doing real business that are starting to, like Jim Morando passed on 2 deals. He's now, I'll just wait 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's very close.
That's
it's very close.
It's way closer.
Yes.
And so Natalie, she was going to buy a house. She's like, fast, right? And I'm like, that worries me that I have my I call it my mastermind group chat, my think tank with 5 dudes in Las Vegas, none of them except Jason Ramus.
Well, hey.
And so, but it's funny because we had one day on Wednesday, right? One day where everybody had, or called 4 out of 5 of us had a thing where like our business has not fundamentally changed by any means, but there was a difference in decision-making based on this event, which is the proper response. Like the people that are, but like we're talking about how long it's going to trickle. And I'm like, it took a day. The trickle didn't take that long. And so I wonder if that kind of behavior where like a pass on deals. I'm sorry, Jason, let me just get this one thing out. So I bring it back to real estate in 2012, right? What was the problem in 2012? Because they were throwing stimulus at the market, right? The problem was nobody wanted to take the liquidity was low because nobody wanted to take the first, everybody was worried. And so I wonder if, as you guys are saying, like this whole thing is just gonna be everybody going, no, I don't want, I'll wait, becomes freaking 3 years, and you get a liquidity crunch.
So I called Jay the other day. We had a Deseret meeting on Sunday, and I'm going back and forth because where I live, I did full rehab on this condo. I'm like, hey, maybe I'll sell it. If I sell, where do I go? Maybe I'll go back east, whatever, right? Go travel. It just because I feel we're at that level, right? So I called Jay on a Monday, I think, or Tuesday or Monday, and I'm like, hey, yeah, let's sell it, put it up on the market. So cool. I'll have my guy come by Wednesday, come take pictures. I text Jay in the morning, Monday. I go, cancel. cancel it. I'm not putting it on the market, because this is when it really started to accelerate. When I saw the NBA actually where Gobert got the Utah game and they shut that, I go, dude, they're shutting everything down and it's going to snowball. And so I told Jay, dude, just I'm not going to put it on the market. Don't take pictures. And right now I'm like, I'm okay because I need a place to live. It's paid off. But I'm like, I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. I'm not selling this right now. There's not going to be a buyer, right?
Yeah.
And
I think you're wrong. I think now, if you wait 2 weeks, like you said, things are gonna be worse. I think things are gonna get people get more spooked. Like I'm in the middle of closing a house right now for sale, and I'm about to flip a house. I'm not too worried. Well, again, I'm also in a different market, much different market than you. I think you should have sold immediately, right before, because if you wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and people start missing paychecks, those are your buyers. Those are maybe your buyers. The people, hey, I was gonna move to Las Vegas, and then you correctly said, hey, look, they're shutting Vegas down. Whoever was moving to Vegas is gonna be like, let's wait till 2021. Yeah. I think you should have put that thing on the market, sold it immediately before people realize that it's like selling in 2005. It's like, look, today. So
I tried to, right? This was this Wednesday, 2 days ago. If he took pictures, it ain't going up until today, more than likely, right? On the MLS. Okay, dude, nobody's buying. If now you got to refinance a loan or rewrite a loan that I have out. But it's not going to sell, because remember, everybody that works on the Strip, which is a big majority of people in this town, lost their job overnight. This isn't a slow thing. This is a overnight, very quick process here in Vegas, at least.
You know what this feels like? If this was Mad Cow, right? I wouldn't go eat a hamburger at McDonald's. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't take the chance. No reason to take the chance.
Chipotle.
Downside risk for no upside.
Yeah, well, in this case, I feel absolutely no urge to resist anything. I care not at all for this thing. And the more I talk, to people and read, it seems that that's a very shared thing. Is nobody really cares about the disease. Everybody cares about it. So what does that remind you of? It's kind of reminiscent of a bank run, where I don't really think anything bad is happening, but I'm going to go take my money out because of the next guy who's taking his money out. And the next thing you know, you have this really, topsy-turvy situation that's uncontrollable, and it all comes down to the credit market. And it seems very reminiscent of a bank run, and you don't know when you don't know if the bank can withstand it, or how long it's going to be, or when it's going to end. It's just full of uncertainty. And I think it all comes down to the credit and liquidity of companies and individuals. If you can survive if you have a cash moat, if you're not cash poor, and a revolving credit line or some sort of liquidity available to you, you'll be fine. Otherwise, you won't be.
Yeah, real quick, I actually think this becomes a run on food, and this is what scares me right now. How long does it last? Right, the longer it lasts, the worse it. But I'll tell you right now, I went stocked up 3-4 weeks worth of food a couple of days ago, because when I see freaking out about the wrong thing, go. The food is what we need to survive, right? And if people are doing that, wait until it gets worse and worse, and people are now in their house more and more. Or I'm not going out to a restaurant, because I don't know if the server has, or the cooks or whatever, right? And I also don't know, I mean, I'm different, but if you're not working, you're not going to go to the restaurant because you don't know where your next paycheck is. But with that, the Fed is going to in government, they're going to throw everything they can money-wise, and Trump's going to call up Michael Yang, for the Democrat president guy, or Andrew Yang, and sit there and go, hey, tell me about your $1,000 a month plan. And I'll tell you why, because that's going to be the one thing. If you give, I know, but guess what? If you give everybody $1,000 a month, everybody can somewhat ride this storm out. And the final end game comes where after they exhaust everything, dude, they're already talking about giving everybody $1,000 a month, like a one-time payment.
Jared, no. Didn't I tell you he was loony? Didn't I tell you he was out of his mind? Didn't I tell you?
Hey,
no, hang on. Hey, what you're saying is everybody go buy Sony stock. That's my pitch. I'm going to buy Sony stock.
There's a difference.
Because everybody's going to be at home playing PlayStation. They're all going to be playing Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox. So buy your Microsoft Sony stock. That's where no, but you know what? You're wrong about the food, because I'll tell you what. Because people, you know what? The pigs and the chickens and the cows and the wheat and the rice, they're not getting the virus. And so the farmers are going to be okay. They're going to put on a truck, right? You got a problem with the grocery store, but you know what? Amazon's going to do, they're going to expand home delivery in the next few months like you wouldn't believe. I do not think the food shortage, we get so food in this country. Look, let me tell you something about this country. 200 years ago to every period of history, the biggest problem of every species was lack of food. forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And now the biggest problem in this country is obesity, right? We solved food so goddamn hard, right? You have a way worse problem about overeating than under. So I don't think that this virus is going to leak out, right? We solved the hardest problem of animals as a whole ever. And I just don't think that food shortage is going to be the problem. And I don't think it's, I just don't think it's a good comparison.
But real quick, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking there's not enough cows, all that stuff. I'm talking about, and I don't think there's going to be lines like whatever, right? Like 1927 type of, 29 type of stuff, right? I'm talking about Costco, Walmart right now. The shelves are half empty. And like I said, I feel like we're in day 3. Hey, hold on. I've never gone to Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco and seen half the food gone, shelves half empty. Okay. As people start to panic more and more and people see pictures, they're going to now start to run out, and now everybody runs out. And that's the food shortage I'm talking about. They can't produce it quick enough.
Logistics problem. Yeah.
Exactly. Let me mediate that problem at least then. Say, well, you live in Las Vegas where they have a much different food economy, and I'm not an expert at it by any means. They have a much different food logistics than they do where I live or where Jared lives. Jared and I grew up in a place where they got hurricanes, where they did clear out grocery stores before the hurricane came, right? All the time. And the snowstorms, hey, you're about to get 8 foot, maybe not 8 feet. You're about to get 3 foot. You're about to get 3 foot of snow, right? Like the statewide emergency, everything's shut down for 3 days. We already know this. So that is not. Now Vegas is a different infrastructure because they don't ship the food. They got to ship the food in differently because it's a desert, right? There's no.
So that's why you see shortages,
right? So they ship it all in. Well, but nobody. There's only 1/3 of us in the call live in Las Vegas. So, but when you say that, I think you're being systemic. You're saying it like a systemic problem. Now, it may be a Vegas problem, and actually that opens up another discussion. Like, will we see regional differences in how this affects places? Like, I already know that I'm already thinking about how is Fort Bragg going to change, right? Because I'm actually less worried about this from my perspective. Because I said on the day, I was like, well, I'm actually the reason I got into real estate, and I was so happy to do so in North Carolina, in Fayetteville, was so good because I sacrifice. None of my properties are going to appreciate. So for the last 6 years or 4 years that I've been buying, I didn't get any growth in the house prices. But I'm almost, I can't say for sure, but I'm 99% sure none of the military guys are going to get laid off because of this. None of the military guys are going to lose paychecks. So I feel like my city is going to be fairly well insulated. So I bring all that to say, like, what other regional differences? You worry about food in Las Vegas, but I don't worry about food in North Carolina. I got a farm right down the street, right? They're going to be happy to
that we have in this country that we've been solving for really the last 10 years, which is delivery services. And Amazon really spiked it, but Walmart's been competing, and now Whole Foods, and so look, we have the ability now. Walmart, we live right next to Walmart. They deliver it in one day. We make an order at 6 a.m. and we get it by 6 p.m. So maybe that kind of thing slows down. Maybe you can't go out and get steak for a week, but I just don't think that people are not going to be able to get food. Even if the grocery stores don't have it, they can just order it online.
But here's the problem, right? You guys are now trying to pick and choose who doesn't get home quarantine, right? Meaning, it's okay for every Amazon employee to go out and not have to stay home, okay? Or every food worker, but even though they're feeling sick or one person's sick and it spreads, right? But everybody else has to stay home. It doesn't work that way. You quarantine everybody because remember, nobody knows who has it. Alex might have it right now, and he's had it for 10 days. Well, he's been probably not around anybody.
I know where you're going with this. Let me just say this.
But this is like I said, we just saw a 100% jump in Vegas from nobody to 4 to 8 to 16. Tomorrow it's going to be 30. Yes. Next day, New York's already at 400 or 500 people, right?
Well, probably 400 or 500 diagnosed. There are probably thousands of people that have it.
Yeah, and so once they get the test kits, right. And this is why I keep going back. We're still in the early stages. We're trying to figure out now for the real estate side. Look, I think you're in a great place, right? In North Carolina, because you guys don't have appreciation. People live. You guys. I was out there a couple weeks ago, and I drove from Charlotte to New Bern because my sister moved to New Bern, and I'm looking like Vegas or LA. That's where I'm from, California. And so it's like, okay, maybe things don't transmit the same way as they do here in Vegas. I'm actually surprised there's so little in Vegas. There's more in California, but then how quickly could this expand if people don't know if they have it? And that's what scares me.
Yeah, let me just say, we were talking about this at work today, because I mean, we have to come up with a policy for dealing with this at this point. And this is what I think is probably more common in America than it is in Italy or other countries. So our company makes we're a component manufacturer for medical equipment. We're a contractual supplier. We owe millions of parts every year to various customers throughout the world. And so, we have weekly deadlines to produce a whole host of different components. That those components largely depend on labor. We have a number of different manufacturing company facilities up and down the East Coast, and so we have to come up with a policy. What are we going to do if somebody gets sick or what have you? And so what I said was, if the idea is as soon as somebody gets sick, we're going to send everybody home. Well, okay. What we're saying is all revenue generation businesses is down. So what I would say is, if somebody comes in and says, I'm sick, my response would be, how do you know? So what am I saying? I'm saying we have to force people to get a diagnostic test and a positive result in order to move forward with any type of there's an ocean between somebody being sick and somebody having a test, going to the doctor, getting tested, getting the results, and then bringing that documentation to us. Those are two different things. And there's such a shortage of tests right now that we might actually make it out of this thing by just playing dumb and having deniability and saying, we can't tell if you're sick, and we so that's probably going to happen more commonly in this country than anywhere else.
Well,
but that's an interesting theory, actually. Like you, the news is going like, hey, China had more. They reported more recoveries of new diseases for the first time. And I think to myself, based on the comment you just made, I think, well, we're not going to be able to address recoveries because we don't have tests.
Well, if you stop testing people, then those numbers will get even better.
Well, but you can't record recoveries if you don't have tests. So you can have unknowns, but you can't record recoveries. So, but I wonder, I actually do wonder, and this is a mad extrapolation, but I do wonder if people go, it's going to go from, hey, look, if you're sick, we're worried, to when does people go, does that increase to like, hey, look, if you haven't been tested, I don't want to be near you, and people become social pariahs or other weird. There was one person in the NBA that tested positive. One person. And they shut down the whole season. That's terrifying. Okay,
it's horrible.
That's a good segue. I don't want to keep anybody past. It's 11:25 my time. I'm happy to keep going, but if anybody wants to bail, I want to get this question out before anybody leaves.
I'm fine. It's only 8 here. So.
It's late for Jared and I. So I call Jason the ultimate cynic, which he is. He's ultimate doomsday author. But I am a cynic on a different type of level. How much, I don't know how to word this how much of this is related to the re-election of Donald Trump in 2020? Jason?
So I actually first thought the media blew this up
I thought so too.
Meaning they made a bigger story than it really had to be to try and take Trump down, because remember, it's Fox News versus everybody else, right? Everybody's on the left and Fox is on the right. So they all go, hey, let's use this story to try and take down the economy, to take Trump down, because that's how you take him down. I think what happened was they went that direction to try, like at the beginning, hey, let's stoke fear, whatever, see what kind of traction we get with it, just kind of throw a little bit. But then it started getting worse and worse.
Yeah, it worked for
them. And they could, huh?
It worked for
them. But I don't think they thought in a million years it would be something like this, where it got that bad.
I agree with that sentiment. I'm kind of in that same boat. At first I was like, oof, they really want to get him out. And then Italy shuts down its borders. I'm like, well, I don't think they have that much power. This must be real.
It just kind of fed on itself. But here's the problem. He came out, it's not a big deal. There's like all this stuff. And now it's becoming a big deal. Now the market's crashing because he said everybody's fine. And today I listened to the thing he did, the press conference, and one of the reporters goes, hey, Trump, did you go out and get tested yet? And he goes, no, not yet. And I sit here and I go, how irresponsible just of somebody that high to not actually get a test with all the people he's around. Because I'll tell you right now, if he gets it, you're going to see, I hate to say it, but the shit
he gets
hits the
it,
fan, because then it's kind of
like, and not just him, right? If any of the high level elected leaders people are going to get fucking weird.
Ted Cruz.
I give Donald Trump a hard time often, but on this one, I think his initial sentiment was kind of aligned with mine. It's like, hey, look, the virus itself is not going to be that big a deal. So he tried to control the narrative, which at the time I agreed with him, but now looking back, I think our attitude about it is now going to bite him because he's like, he's not good at apologizing. In fact, he's just not good at apologizing. I don't think he's ever done it. And so he can't walk back and say, you know what, I should have. That position, this is going to bite him because he's had it easy, right? The economy's been up. He's kind of had it easy since. So now I wonder if this is going to bite him because it's his cavalier attitude about it. Now it's like people go, oh, well, the stock market tanked because they don't have confidence in Donald Trump. I said, that's not, I don't believe those are connected, but I do believe his, I don't know. I don't want to get into the political side of it, but I think he wishes he would have been more serious from it. His speech was good the next day or whatever. We're gonna take care of this, right? His attitude has gone from like, don't fucking sweat it, media's the, and I think he's gonna have a hard time managing those two positions because he doesn't have any practice going, oh yeah, I shouldn't have been so easy. I should have taken this more seriously.
Well, I read on Twitter somebody Ted Cruz self-quarantined, and somebody said the Zodiac killer hasn't murdered anybody since Ted Cruz has been self-quarantined. And Ted Cruz tweeted back that I can't disagree with that.
That's funny. But here's the problem Trump's going to have too, because he's now reaching, right? He's drowning in this because he's made a lot of missteps. He's way behind on the ball on this, I believe. Like he should have been doing a lot more of this early on. Throw everything at the stock market to prop up the stock market, which when people do something like that, they create bubbles, which is going to be real dangerous because, and this is why I go back to everybody $1,000, right? At least
if he wants to get reelected, he's got to.
I wouldn't be shocked if he did it. It's a moronic thing to do. It's not going to work.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Jared, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to have any effect.
But it's the optics of it, right? And
did the stimulus work?
His mind,
no.
Did Obama's stimulus work? They did two. They did two of them.
That was not a stimulus. That was a bailout.
No. Excuse me, sir. They sent everybody in America $600.
That was Bush.
Yeah, that was 2001 after.
Okay, I'm not I don't give a. I personally don't think.
Well, listen, no. But hang on a second. We had.
Well, I meant the last.
We had the stimulus.
For the last stimulus. Cash for that.
Are you talking about TARP?
Cash
for. Are you talking about TARP?
No, I'm not talking about TARP. I'm talking about, early on, let me think the year, 2007, they sent a check with $650.
Yeah, that was Bush, and that did not work.
Okay. Did it? Well,
yeah.
There's a difference between income. Income is a real thing. Income is something that we produce. We measure it through money. Money is a second thing.
Donald Trump acts like he's the most differentest president of all time, and in some ways, he's been able to get away with doing things unorthodox because everything's been.
Let me ask you this.
And now that I think
let me ask you this. The market's been going up for the last, however many years, right? And since he was elected in 2016, it's been just on a tear. And he's been taking credit for every single thing that's happened. So didn't we all at some point think, when this thing goes south, what's the reaction going to be? Now we're seeing it. I mean, we kind of all knew that this was going to happen at some point. We didn't know what the trigger was going to be, but we all knew the market was going to go down at some point.
Donald Trump has his strengths, but taking responsibility is not one of them.
No, but we get to watch it while it happens.
And to give him some credit on that, right? Like every president is going to take responsibility for the ups and shift blame for the downs. Now he's not good at it, right? He blamed Obama today, right? Like it's not a good defense. Yeah, right. Everybody but me. Like it's never going to go slick. But I mean, I don't blame Donald Trump for the crash for this virus in the stock market, and I don't blame him for gains since 2016. Now they may be manifest because of him, due to he's very pro business. They may be manifest due to the idea of him in office more so than direct action. But I think that's how a lot of presidencies go, right? When things are good and people are confident, like you said, consumer confidence is going to drive this negative. And consumer confidence drove the last two high years of positives, and even still the last 9. So. But that actually brings another question, right? So like the market tanks in a week, but how overblown was it in the first place, right? Like where do we get to where do we get to fundamentals? Where do we get to hey, look, this business is actually going to make it's still worth something.
I mean, if you look at the multiples in the market, the overall market, the multiples are just too high. I mean, and there's a lot of there's always been a lot of statements about justifying what the multiples are, but we're just not, the economy simply does not make enough revenue and EBITDA to justify the valuations that it's been giving. And so I think, anything could have happened, and anything serious enough could have happened to trigger the first dip. Now, since that has happened, we've had some really strange volatilities. I mean, it's been really a strange, volatile week. One of the things that this market's produced over the last 10 years is a very low volatility increase over time. It's just abnormally low. And so everybody's waiting for volatility to come back. We saw a little bit of it in 14, 15, but just not like we have over the last 100 years on average.
16.
And so
16
now we're seeing these long tail volatile events occur. And I don't know if it's the new norm or what. It's only been 2 weeks, but I think the first dip was just a result of a trigger.
So from a stock market guy, right? It's all algorithm or algos doing all this, okay? This isn't people buying and selling, okay? Like trying jockey positions. It's all algorithm. Remember, people panic out stocks. They don't panic into stocks. Today's late day rally wasn't people going, oh my God, I got to buy this smart. We got test kits coming out. Okay. Remember, people, it's algorithm. I'd say about 70 or 80% of all trading is done by computers. Oh. And so everybody's, and I think one person runs the market. In fact, 40-year-old kid in his mom's basement, right? Who's playing a video game. Because it's too predictable, right? I mean, we'll go right to a certain level and all of a sudden buyers come in, right? Like clockwork. Or yesterday, think about that $50 billion or $500 billion Fed thing happened right at the lows in an exact time, right when certain things where it's too perfect, and it always happens. I've been doing this for 18 years and I've watched the S&P for probably 15 of them every single day of my life. And the news events just happen too perfect when we're making double bottoms or tops or whatever. I also think you got to realize there's a lot of new people in the market. Anybody who's traded from like 2011 on, so anybody who's seen a down market, all they know is buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But this is, you can tell this isn't buying the dip where we'll go 100 points lower without an uptick, and then we'll go 100 points higher without a downtick, right? That's not people trading. It's too quick. That's all algorithms pushing the market.
Yeah. Hey, why is Tesla still $546? Is Tesla ever going to pay the price? Are the people ever going to
company?
Go on Amazon Prime and go to the documentaries, and there's a thing called Elon Musk, the real Iron Man.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Go watch that. This is why I'll tell you right now. If Elon died tomorrow, okay, dude, Tesla would be a $30 stock probably, right? He is, but people are buying
some
because of wait.
I said Tesla, if Elon Musk dies, Tesla stock will go to zero, even though there's actual worth, right? It'd be worth nothing in the eyes of the public, even though they have to, it wouldn't even be worth the tangibles, right? Like it's 100% mania on the back of his celebrity.
But it's nonsense.
Look at SpaceX. Look at what he's done, right? People are buying him, not the company. Kind of like people buy Apple for Steve Jobs.
I buy SpaceX. That's a real company. I buy SpaceX stock, but he'll never take it public because he hates running Tesla the way he hates that he went public with Tesla.
Yeah, but he had to.
No, anyways, I think it's interesting. Tesla hits 900, right? I think to myself, well, this is the most bubblest bubble that's ever bubbled, and it's only a few weeks later, and this happens, and I'm actually surprised that the stock that took the tank.
Well, this wasn't the
believer.
The first as soon as that stock hit, whatever it was, 9 and change, the next day they announced that they were going to sell stock. The next day they were going to issue more shares.
Well, wouldn't you?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're using the market, to their benefit, and that was the first drop. I mean, they dropped right away when they announced that.
But price is king, right? It's the price is telling you got to buy it, but you also got to look at Amazon. For years, Amazon never made $1. They lost money, and the stock kept going up and up, and then they finally came into themselves. So sometimes you just got to take the ride.
Well, that's true, but Tesla's been around for Tesla's been around for 20 years.
Yeah, but they've been public for
12. They've been around for 12 years.
Okay.
Public. No, they launched in 07, 08. Right at the crash. Right at the crash is when they launched. They're like,
Yeah, but I think they went
business.
public in like 13 or something.
They went,
Well,
yeah.
This shows at least June 2010. They went public.
Yeah, 2008. There's I remember he did an interview. He goes, we opened shop the year that General Motors went out of business. He said it just like that. He goes, General fucking Motors goes bankrupt, and we started a car company. You can't pick a worse time than that.
Yeah. 2010, $17 a share. You blew that one, sucker.
Hey, I made money on Tesla twice. I love Tesla. I'm not a fanatic.
Yeah, but
it was founded in
understand-
2003. It's 16 years old, right? They've never made a dollar. So
they've been showing profits the last 2 quarters.
At some point, you have to look at this from a company standpoint and dissociate, emotion from investment. And there's nothing about this company that makes it a good investment.
Amazon's not a good example either, because there's one Amazon, and there's a literal field of fucking businesses that went out for the same reasons, where it's just like.
Yeah, I would say Amazon's a great comparison, and I would never have invested in Amazon. And the fact that they became something, I would argue, is just based on the statistics, is a mere fluke.
It's like it's like a dog. It's like
go or real quick. Go on YouTube or go talk to Tesla owners, okay, and really ask them about the car and look at what you could do with that car. You'll see why Tesla is also $900, because they love the car. You could do updates. You could repair it just via software over an app. I know it's crazy, but somebody comes out with this article and they say, and they go, I think it was GM. It might have been else, but I thought it was GM, but it doesn't matter. It was a major manufacturer. And they said, they're 6 years ahead of us. And I got a buddy, Steven Tyson. I'm going to show him. He's a Tesla fanatic. He sold it, thankfully. I'm so happy. But he's like he's not objective, right? He's a fanatic. He was a believer. He's a religious fanatic about them. And so he goes, oh, they're 6 years behind. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, you act like GM's not going to be here in 6 years. Like, yeah,
right. Yeah.
Like they can't, right? Like they're going to still, 6 years are going to come along, right? And they know now, right? And so it's always the riskiest position is to be in first, because guess what? Like I'm nipping at your heels the whole time. I know how to do what you do now, or I can spend a lot of time thinking about it. And so I just, they act like Tesla's going to, the Tesla fanboys act like Tesla's going to put everyone else out of business. And I'm just like, you're buying up. You're buying up in the short run, which is good. It's like Airbnb. Like you make all your money now, but it's like, yeah, well, when all the competitors come out, I mean, the long run is gonna reduce everybody's market share and margins.
Yeah, I just at some point. So I'm just looking real quick. In 2019, GM sold 7.7 million cars. 7 million cars. I don't know what Ford sold, but at some point, if you're gonna make cars, you need to have a substantial infrastructure, not just supply lines, but you need to have material, man, personnel. You need to have huge plants. You need to be able to put everything. I mean, they've been doing this for 100 years more. Tesla can't make 500,000 cars. They're selling cars now. They're selling trucks that they're never going to make. They never will make that car. It will never happen.
Which one?
That's a bold statement. I think
they're never going to make that car.
The truck?
Both trucks. The big truck that they just announced and the electric shipping.
Oh, I think they'll make it.
They might make 5 or 10. They may make 1,000. They will never make those cars in mass. It will never become a large business part. It will never become a segment. It's never going to be something that you're going to see all over the road that you see.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be an everyday car like that. But I think it'll be for certain. It's like a Lamb or like a
Land Rover.
No, kind of what's a unique car that people buy just because of the brand or whatever?
Mercedes?
No, he's talking like a Lamborghini or something where it's like a one-off. Like
it's like a Lambo. People who love Tesla will buy that truck just because.
Yeah, but a Lamborghini, it sells for $150,000, and they make them very well, and they made them for a long time, and they have the infrastructure.
And it's a small company,
and they're small and they're profitable.
Yeah, and they have huge margins. Okay,
in order for them to make cash,
$60,000. There's no you can't sell enough to make them worth it. The other thing is, what do you think the odds are that they made that truck look ridiculous for the marketing effort, and then when the real one comes out in real life, it'll look like a reasonable, regular.
I don't know.
More reasonable production car so that people will actually buy it, because they have to sell more than They can't sell 50,000 of them.
Well, they did an interesting thing with the truck. So when they came out with the car, right? What model is it with the $35,000 car? Model
E.
X?
No,
Three.
X
Model
or
3.
whatever.
So Model 3, when you went to buy that car, it was a 2-year waiting. They're still not around. It's a 2-year waiting list, and it was like $1,000 or $10,000 down. It was some amount, $1,000. Okay, and so what happens is you get a list of all these pre-sales, and then you can go to a bank and you can get lending, and you can say, oh, here's how many pre-sales we have.
I got receivables.
It worked so good when they sold the truck. It was $100. You can pre-order this truck for $100. That's crazy. Why would they do that? And the reason they do it is exactly, you can get your money back if you don't get the car. It's $100.
But they can use it to buy debt.
There's only 3 ways that Tesla's made cash so far. They either get lending from somebody, they sell stock, or they make you a promise about a vehicle that's going to magically appear in the future so that they can make the cars today that they promised people yesterday for. It's a Ponzi scheme. And why is it? Look, I'm looking here. General Motors, $35 billion market cap. This is a company that's been around for 100 years. They had several bad dips. I would never argue that they should be around today, but they've proven that they can make cars. Ford, $22 billion market cap. This is a company that's proven it's weathered the storms. It's proven it can make cars. Tesla has never made a dime for anybody. $100 billion market cap. It's worth 5 times Ford. That's insane.
But
I'm sorry.
But again, it's those trades, those things where we sit there and go, it's not worth it. It's crazy, that do well. Look at Bitcoin.
Bitcoin's
right?
a terrible investment.
It's the worst. It's freaking air, right?
What did somebody say? They said
I'd rather invest in gold.
Somebody said when the market goes up, Bitcoin doesn't go up as much, and when it goes down, Bitcoin goes down more. There's no value in that. Diversification. Yeah, I mean, look, I just like picking on Tesla, and I know that I like Tesla as a company. Like, I like the idea of it, but it's a terrible investment. And I know that I know that it works Jared up, so I had to bring it.
I
think it's also interesting.
I believe in the guy, honestly. I seriously do. I believe in the guy, and I believe in SpaceX. I think SpaceX is a legitimate company. I think that it has promise. We don't have any details about their financials, but I just think that the overall, I think the business model is just much more sound. You're not competing with major players that have been around forever who have the infrastructure. It's a new business. You're good at it. You have a competitive advantage. You're making money. There's people who have a need for your services. I mean, it's just a much better business model.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, price is king too, right? I mean, it's not saying it's right or wrong to invest, but sometimes those investments you don't think will pay out.
That's called gambling.
Yeah, I agree.
That's called gambling. Hey, if market prices tank in Las Vegas, if house prices come down, I'm gonna buy a house in Las Vegas. Jason,
I think Vegas.
What kind of situation do you have going on over here with your phone?
Oh, I'm on iPad.
You're giving me epilepsy with the.
Hey, so hold on. So I think Vegas. I think prices will actually pause. I don't think we're going to go lower, per se. I don't think we're going to see it like a crisis. I actually think the prices will just literally sit. I don't think people are going to just start dumping their house. They might have to, but I won't be surprised if prices just kind of go sideways, meaning nothing really sells. Nobody's discounting their houses, anything like that for next month or two. And then if we could roll out this thing within 2 or 3 months and be halfway decent, I actually think with the low rates and everything, then we'll get a big uptick.
Jared, if this continues, or if real estate, say, in other markets becomes lucrative, would it entice you to buy something, or it doesn't correlate to you?
No, I'm just not interested in the real estate market as an investment, and as a homeowner, I'm just not. It's just not something I'm interested in, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no.
I think the characteristics and qualities of the public equity markets are far more advantageous. They require less. There's a less learning curve. The risk reward is a better. I think it turns out to be a better investment. I think there's more diversification. There's lower barriers to entry. You can get liquidity much quicker. You don't depend on other people. The commissions are low. There's not much to worry about if things happen. The flip side is I have to weather storms like this. Like I told you before we got started, I lost $20,000 to $25,000 in the last 2 weeks or so. And, that's not, I'm not talking about my 401k or my, my retirement plans. This is my actual assets. So that's not something that you would get in real estate, right? Or a better way to put that is, your assets are not going to be revalued every day. So you wouldn't know anyways.
It's highly
There's a
illiquid.
benefit to having it's a broker driven market as opposed to a quote driven market. So you're not going to get those types of things, but, so I'm not saying that there's no benefit to it, and seeing, what you've gone through, and having the success that you've had, it's changed my view, but I still just look at this from a math. I'm probably never going to be a real estate investor unless I start to do it for fun.
Yeah. I was just curious.
If I were to buy, I would probably build just for personal reasons. So I'd probably never get into it the way you have.
Well, rates are going to be low here soon.
I've actually been looking at ways to acquire, I don't know if I'm there yet, but just to acquire cash to invest, just because this is the way you should do it. Right.
But so I'm a stock guy, right? And I've done it. And trust me, I used to think the same way you did. If I want a seller, like if I own something, I want to sell, there's a guy right there to sell. Okay. It's like when I sold my other condo, because I sold a condo a couple months ago, it took me 4 months, all the ups and downs and negotiate, and then people, the showings. And it's kind of like, dude, sell. And I had to keep dropping my price. And it's kind of like with stocks, hey, if I don't like something, get me out right now. There's always a seller. And at the end of the day, to make 10% of the market really isn't that hard.
No, it requires absolutely no knowledge. It requires discipline and
Participation.
Yeah,
Showing up and participating.
Yeah. I mean, literally, instead, like my whole thing is I diversify. I just have, nothing sort of a great strategy. I just, I basically just diversify, and instead of keeping money in a savings account, I just keep my money in an invested brokerage account. That's basically it. So I am susceptible to these sort of things, though, unfortunately.
Hey, Alex, real quick. Remember I told you a while back, cycles take about a year to play out. Okay. One thing that I'm seeing, like, because I'll listen to CNBC, they're all idiots and all that. I know that, but you read between the lines. But I get sentiment from those guys, and it's like every day they're trying to say, "Oh, is this the bottom?" Dude, we're a week into this thing. 2 weeks.
I agree with you.
Think about it, right? We're 2 weeks. Yeah, we fell, but they're trying. We haven't seen a flush yet. Now, can we bounce? Dude, we could bounce all the way back to 2,900 in the S&P this week, okay? It doesn't mean it's the bottom, because there's going to be a lot of companies that ain't going to be making money over the next 3-4 weeks. And when their cash flow, they're burning through cash flow. When they come out, it's going to be really hard to remake it. You have to reprice the stock to get that work. And we haven't seen the panic in the futures market, meaning we'll get lower, right?
Actually,
we haven't seen. Hold on. We haven't seen panic in the stock market. Meaning, while the stocks are open, we haven't seen that panic selling yet. Also, for the VIX to be where it's at right now and kind of hold these levels, like 60 or probably 55, 60 now. But we're holding up at these levels. I just feel like, okay, hey, maybe we roll over. Maybe we. I know. But the thing is when everybody's looking for the bomb's not in. Also, how do you reprice a company that's not going to be making cash for a month and a half?
Companies start reporting. So the quarter closes at the end of March, right? And companies are going to start reporting a month after that. So we're not even going to see we're going to have to revisit this. So even if this is a short-lived thing, we're going to revisit this whole thing.
MGM shut down every nightclub, right? They didn't know that a week ago, right? So our numbers can be actually worse. Yeah. What's the job numbers going to look like? And then when people come back, right? When this does blow over, or people aren't getting flooded right back into Vegas, right? This is my fear. Or New York, right? It's going to take a while. So this is why I go, hey, let the market bounce. If anything, it's a shorting opportunity. It's an opportunity to get short again, because you're not going back up to the all-time highs. There's too much carnage. If anything, we trade in a huge range, right? And then, and I'll finish off with this. Biden becomes president, and how's the market react to that? Because like I said, I talk to a lot of people that are like Trump supporters, and they're like, he's an idiot. I mean, at some point, your base is kind of walking away from him because he's screwing this crap up, and every day he looks stupider and stupider.
Yeah,
Jared,
the fact that it's election year.
11:50, final thoughts? Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's election year, I mean, it does make it more interesting. We'll see.
Hey, so Jared tried to do this, just to wrap up. Like Jared and I tried to do this about a year ago. We did 2, 3, I think, but it's kind of weird. I think I want to keep this thing casual, but I'm going to try to get and do this again in 2 weeks. I think the ideal group size is probably 4 or 5. This was really good, but I knew you two together would be fantastic. But I'd like to do this every 2 weeks, so I'm going to think we'll put this up on YouTube, unless anybody has any objections.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. My only thing is it's got to be earlier. I got a kid that, I mean, she goes to sleep at 9, but man, she gets back up.
Let me work on it. It's like last minute kind of. So let me work on it. Maybe I'll just get East Coast people and West Coast people bundled. That way we don't have this problem. And I don't sleep, so I don't care. All right. Hey, this was fun. So glad you guys got to meet. And I'm so glad we had this conversation. This is good timing. I'm going to probably set it out tomorrow, just the timeliness of the content. But I'm going to try to get to do this again in 2 weeks. It'd be interesting to see if we can have it all recorded and see how things flow out. 6 months we check back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this thing could be completely over in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, what? We made it. We had to record about that? That was nothing.
Yeah, market to all-time highs again.
Yeah.
All right. Again, it's March 14th, technically right now, midnight. But it'd be interesting to see how this thing plays out. Hopefully I'll talk to you guys both in 2 weeks. If not, we'll rotate something. We'll get people on rotation. But this is fun. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Good talking, guys.
All right, bye.